she loves it there. Yeah. So anyway, Miss Jamie, thank you for meeting with me so we can, talk a little bit about baby doll circle time.
Mm-hmm.
I've been, observing the way you do it and participating as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I love it.
Uh,
But, I need to explain to my classmates
uh-huh.
what it's about. So, can you tell me what is the baby doll circle time?
Well, Baby Doll Circle Time is a program that, or curriculum that Dr. Becky Bailey put together. Pretty much, I mean, it's a wide explanation, but the
Mm-hmm.
basics of it was to one, reduce stress
Mm-hmm.
for children who are, being cared for outside of the home.
Mm-hmm.
It was also created to increase positive affect
Mm-hmm.
and joy
Mm-hmm.
between caregivers and children.
Mm-hmm.
And it also utilizes attachment,
Mm-hmm.
attunement, and social play
Mm-hmm.
that wires the brain for
Mm-hmm.
optimal
Mm-hmm.
development.
Okay. So I heard you use the word social play.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say that in for the day treatment program that would be very helpful for behavior management or something like that? What do you think?
Um, that probably yes.
Mm-hmm.
Social play. We all think that children are just naturally know how to play and get
Mm-hmm.
along with others, but
Mm-hmm.
if they've missed certain
Mm-hmm.
steps
Mm-hmm.
up to learning
Mm-hmm.
how to play and interact with others, then
Mm-hmm.
social play is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Social play, it it needs to be. I think I'm going off. Pause it.
Oh, that's
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
So yeah. So I think it would. And go back to your question. Ask it
Mm-hmm.
again.
Yeah, the social play. How do you feel like when you're doing the baby doll circle time with your
Mm-hmm.
kids,
Uh-huh.
that it can help, with the social? How does it help with the social play since they can have like behavior issues in the classroom? So that's what I
Well,
would
I would
like to.
hope
Mm-hmm.
that over time that we would see children learning how to, with their dolls, since they're being, we're hoping that they're being
Mm-hmm.
gentle and they're
Mm-hmm.
being patient and kind of empathetic with
Mm-hmm.
the babies, that
Mm-hmm.
that would translate
Mm-hmm.
into everyday life, not
Mm-hmm.
just during circle time.
Okay, so being empathetic and being like
That's
uh,
huge.
that's
Empathy,
huge. And empathy
because that's
is
the highest,
mm-hmm,
one of the highest
mm-hmm,
functions of the brain that you
mm-hmm,
can achieve.
mm-hmm.
So,
And if you have the joy juice, as Dr. Baker
uh-huh.
put it, so this can increase, of course, the empathy, and it's going to impact the way they behave with other people because the aggression level, I'm assuming, then will decrease
Decrease.
over time. Yeah.
That would that would be wonderful.
That would
That's
be
that's
wonderful, yeah.
that's a hope.
But as we know, we're working with children and it's
Hmm.
patience and it's repetition. So,
Right.
so based on that, how did the agency come to integrate baby doll circle time in the curriculum?
I believe they integrated it into the curriculum because, well, the main reason they integrated it into the curriculum is because we have had so many children who had their beginning initial early
Mm-hmm.
attachments
Mm-hmm.
were either not, they weren't healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So the goal was is to, start this curriculum kind of with the younger children who we,
Mm-hmm.
feel like that we're needing some attachment work and some
Mm-hmm.
work around attachment issues.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we kind of brought it into the program,
Mm-hmm.
so that we could, you know, teach them
Mm-hmm.
nurturing and
Mm-hmm.
care and
Mm-hmm.
attunement with, through the
Mm-hmm.
dolls, but
Mm-hmm.
also, throughout the day, kind of get that from caregivers too.
Okay.
So that's why it was brought into the program as kind of an emotional kind of
Mm-hmm.
literacy attachment
Mm-hmm.
program.
So I can see that the baby doll circle time is very useful in the classroom setting,
Mm-hmm.
and and you also told me that the children's family background by responding to the other question. So it seems like it's the children come from, I don't like to use the word broken family, but the
I
situation.
we pretty
Yeah.
much we would
Mm-hmm.
more or refer to they've come from a family that was experiencing really a lot of stress.
Stress. Okay. Okay.
So that's where they kind of come from.
Mm-hmm.
The parents probably experience some type of trauma, and
Mm-hmm.
when you don't learn how to kind of deal and cope,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you do things that are
Mm-hmm.
not appropriate, or
Mm-hmm.
that are
Mm-hmm.
make good choices.
Exactly.
So that's why the children that we serve come into care. They have
Mm-hmm.
some type of involvement with the children's division,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's pretty evident with children
Mm-hmm.
um, that don't have a good, strong attachment base.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's really clear to see. I mean, they can be have disorganized attachment,
Mm-hmm.
and those kids are kind of push pull kids,
Mm-hmm.
where they want you
Mm-hmm.
one second and they may not want you
Mm-hmm.
the next second.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have
Mm-hmm.
kids who have like anxious. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's anxious, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
very kind of,
Mm-hmm.
they're so scared, and they don't want to have that, the
Mm-hmm.
independence that they need.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there's another one. I can't really think of what it is right now, but I know the healthy attachments
Mm-hmm.
are the ones that we're trying to provide
Mm-hmm.
for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
We want them to know that they can trust us.
Mm-hmm.
When they cry, we're going to come to them. We're going
Mm-hmm.
to, aid
Mm-hmm.
them and
Mm-hmm.
assist them and give them a response that,
Mm-hmm.
teaches the brain that there are people
Mm-hmm.
there who care for me. Because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of these kids were left to cry and fend for
Mm-hmm.
themselves. That's why you
Mm-hmm.
have so many little kids who then they struggle with
Mm-hmm.
allowing
Mm-hmm.
adults to
Mm-hmm.
enter in and help
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm. And I can understand that if the child was somewhat neglected,
Uh-huh.
when he or she finally gets somebody who's willing to give them that attention,
Uh-huh.
as you said, that pull and push, can happen,
Mm-hmm.
and the child may be aggressive, but the way you're saying it, the aggressivity is not coming from a place of like, oh, I want to be mean to you,
Right.
but it's mostly because the child is not trusting you
Mm-hmm.
yet,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't know if you're for real,
Right.
something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And that other
Okay.
one was the avoidant
The
attachment.
avoidance, yeah, the
And
avoidant
we already
attachment,
know they
yeah.
just
Mm-hmm.
are to themselves
Mm-hmm.
and want to
Mm-hmm.
avoid, any
Mm-hmm.
type of affection or
Mm-hmm.
direction. And
Mm-hmm.
so.
So, because I have that background in education, it's
Mm-hmm.
been really interesting to me to watch
Mm-hmm.
the interaction between the teachers and the children, and between the children, children to children. And of course, sometimes you see some of them, they have a lot of hyperactivity. Others, they kind of have like what I would say is like impulse control, like
Mm-hmm.
they may want to do what we call the right thing, but they're so fast at
Mm-hmm.
doing it that
Mm-hmm.
the gesture can go in the wrong way.
Right. Right.
So because of that, they're so-called, have behavior issues. And you see, I'm using those words full of caution, because I
Mm-hmm.
know there is something else that may be behind that.
Right.
So yes, we see that happen in the classroom,
Mm-hmm.
but does that? But how do you think the baby doll circle time help teachers and parents understand
Yeah.
that aggressivity is not always what you see?
Mm-hmm. Well, right. And I think that's a later question. But as far
Mm-hmm.
as uh, what that's kind of some of the parts of baby doll circle time.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the way that timing. Like when I
Mm-hmm.
do my some of my verses,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not rushing through them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking my time, so that
Mm-hmm.
gives the children enough time to process what
Mm-hmm.
I've said in my
Mm-hmm.
song. It
Mm-hmm.
gives them time to look at what I'm doing with
Mm-hmm.
my baby.
Mm-hmm.
On certain parts of the activities, there's a pause.
Mm-hmm.
that pause is intentional.
It's intentional.
Everything Becky does is intentional.
Okay.
The pause is there
Mm-hmm.
because she wants to help children regulate
Mm-hmm.
and with that impulse control and
Mm-hmm.
some of the hyper,
Mm-hmm.
just jump to do something.
Exactly.
No,
Exactly. Okay.
it's the
Mm-hmm.
pauses and all
Mm-hmm.
the breaks and all
Mm-hmm.
the slowness of
Mm-hmm.
it. It's all
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
intentional.
Okay.
It's to give the children time to process, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they don't process.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, that impulse control, like you said, is
Mm-hmm.
huge. I mean,
Okay.
it's really hard for them
Mm-hmm.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Even during the groups that,
Yes.
when
Mm-hmm.
where did my baby go?
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
Mm-hmm.
wait, don't tell me yet.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a minute. Wait.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the counting, that's supposed to help with the
Mm-hmm.
impulse control. So,
Okay. I'm really glad to hear that because, as a teacher, I sometimes, of course, we add, internally,
mm-hmm,
like, oh boy, I wish, that child could be a little more compliant. But at the
mm-hmm,
same token, when I put, my worker gears on, so I have to remember, yes, they come from trauma. Yes,
mm-hmm,
they have trust issues. Yes, they have
mm-hmm,
impulse control issues. So how can I help, with the process? And it's nice to see that the baby doll circle time has those intentional activities,
mm-hmm,
planned from start to finish
mm-hmm.
to build that over time.
Right.
So that's really nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
So the question I was going to ask you, since you've been doing the baby doll circle time for quite a while now,
Mm-hmm.
so what are the changes you may have seen, even if they look small?
Uh,
So what have you seen happening?
I've seen over time, I've seen children who really weren't very participatory.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen them become a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
engaged.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking from the smallest up to the oldest
Mm-hmm.
classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen children's affect
Mm-hmm.
change,
Mm-hmm.
from, from kind of sullen maybe to a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of a smile, any
Mm-hmm.
type of
Mm-hmm.
smile. I've seen children who have been aggressive with peers. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen them being very
Mm-hmm.
loving and
Mm-hmm.
nurturing with the baby dolls.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've seen children who you maybe don't hear singing typical regular songs
Mm-hmm.
during circle time or anything like that. I've heard children singing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I know that the children who may have some trouble with uh, routines and knowing what's
Mm-hmm.
coming
Mm-hmm.
next,
Mm-hmm.
they are picking up on patterns of
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
to expect.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen a lot of positive
Mm-hmm.
changes.
Mm-hmm.
They're mostly really excited to see me when
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming in. So it's like they have really kind of embraced and grasped
Mm-hmm.
that this is, a nice time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's been nice.
And I even saw little boys in one particular
Uh
classroom I observed. When it's time to say goodbye, they would pat the
huh.
baby doll gently and give some
Gentle.
kisses. That really
Mm-hmm.
met my heart because you know how sometimes
Uh
they
huh.
think that boys are so
So
rough.
rough and need to be
So being
tough. And,
able to see that tenderness, that
mm-hmm.
sensitivity, I say, oh wow, that's
Right.
wonderful, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So based on that, how do you measure? How do you assess the change?
Well,
I suppose you have a kind of assessment sheet. How do you do that? Because you have different classes.
Well, right. I just
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Bailey she has an assessment tool in her
Mm-hmm.
book, and I just use that.
Mm-hmm.
When what she looks at is kind of engagement. How was
Mm-hmm.
the child?
Mm-hmm.
Did they interact? Were they
Mm-hmm.
naturally participating?